Welcome to the Atomic Impact Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Osborn. And on this podcast, we interview successful business owners for them to share atomic, impactful lessons that they've learned throughout the course of their business so that we can all learn together. As always, this show is sponsored by the LinkedIn Reverse Podcast Method, the new way established businesses are creating a reliable acquisition channel of conversations with their ideal prospects. We use this method to book 26 qualified leads and sales calls in 10 days without any ad spend, outreach, endless social media posting, or any of the old, ineffective traditional marketing methods that everybody hates. To find out more, direct message me on LinkedIn to have a chat. The link to that is in the show notes below. But on today's show, our special guest is Volker Ballueder. He's the owner of Obnatus, where he provides leadership training and coaching. So Volker, welcome to the show today. And I want to start off by asking you a question that I always love to start off with, which is this. If you were somehow able to go back in time to when you started your very first business, but knowing what you know now, what would you do different in the first 12 months?
Right. Thanks for having me on the podcast first, Jason. So
Yeah.
thanks for the opportunity. If I could go back in time, so I launched my business as a consultant to begin with, and then I thought I had, enough time to scale a coaching business alongside that. And you don't. I think you need to focus on one area that you want to scale and you want to grow, and go for that all out, because otherwise you just spread your energy, you spread your focus too thin on what you actually want to grow. So focus on what you actually want to grow and go all in on that side of things.
Yeah. So when you say going all in, what were the challenges you had? I know you said you're trying to do some coaching on top of that, but were there things that were dividing your focus? Like, what were the lessons you learned from that?
Yeah, mainly so when I started, so when I went self-employed 7 years ago, I started a business wanting to grow a coaching business and leadership training business as I'm doing now, but I was still doing consulting on the side, and consulting literally took over. So I did 4 days a week building businesses for others, whilst 1 day a week trying to build my business, and that wasn't enough focus. So I should have, probably taken more, not only more time, but also more resources to build my own business first, to scale it to where it is now, rather than, taking the time and, focusing on other people's business.
Yeah. I think that's a really, really important lesson around people starting off in business, and you're trying to consult with loads of other people. But as you said, you're building their business and not yours. Well, talking about building business, what's one of the key things that you've done to help you grow the business that has stood out the most to you?
Oh, good question. I think in the greater scale of things, I think the biggest impact is networking, and speaking at conferences. So being out there, being seen as a thought leader, and utilizing your network, I think, are the key areas to grow my business. And that has so far proved most sufficient for me.
Yeah. What are some things that you would advise people on to be able to get out there and do more things, whether that is speaking at conferences or networking? Because I know that can be a real big challenge for a lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of people struggle with that. I mean, my background is in sales, so I'm all right networking and putting myself out there. But simple things like, obviously, visibility on LinkedIn, establishing a clear line of work. So at the moment, I'm focusing a lot on resilience and burnout prevention, and that's something I take to several conferences at the moment. So I was just at a conference last week, and I spoke at a conference in April. I'll speak at another conference in September. So having that story and talking about it, and then backing it up with social media posts around that. Just putting your name out there, and joining different clubs, like-minded people, going to different networking events, seen and be seen, I think is a key message here, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I'm hearing from you is just get out there, network as much as you can, have the conversations, and just allow it to build up over time. Is that what I'm hearing from you?
Exactly.
Yeah. And I know that can be we all know we need to be doing that, but I think it's the time
Yeah.
factor. It's like, oh,
It
we
is.
just want it all now. It's like,
Yeah.
we just want more of the exposure now. So what have you done to help you with that time element of it?
I think, as you say, right, in terms of time, you need to give it time, right? Rome wasn't built in a day, as they say, right? So your business wouldn't be built in a day, and it's just constantly plowing away. Having a plan, having a strategy, executing against it as well, and being patient, which for a salesperson like myself is, yeah, not necessarily my strength to be patient, but it's, yeah, you have to learn things, right? Same as other
Yeah.
people to learn how to network, right? I need to learn how to be patient, and good things come, on the back of all the hard work you're going to put in.
Yeah. Yeah, and you alluded to it there is that you might be very good at sales, but you know that you needed to improve in being patient. And I think that's a really important thing to be able to look at is realize like where our own specific growth areas and just acknowledging them, saying, yeah, I'm good at this, but I'm not great at that. And if I improve the area, is it going to move the needle, the most in my business to help me? And I think that's a great distinctive factor that you've pulled out for sure. That's very, very cool.
Yeah, I think you just need to realize your strengths, right? What are you good at and what are you not good at? So for me, for instance, designing decks, terrible at designing decks, right? So I get other people to design my decks and I have to pay them for that. But I have strengths where people might pay me for it, right? Obviously, otherwise I wouldn't have my own business.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. And that's yeah, just a really good point there. I think you brought up there.
Yeah,
We've got to look at our own strengths and be able to pay for people where our weaknesses are, and that's okay. We can't be good at
yeah,
everything. So
exactly.
yeah. Well, one of the other questions I'd love to ask, Volker, is around the challenges we have in business because
Yeah,
we all have them. It can be a
yeah.
very lonely, isolating place, being a business owner, and often feel like we're the only ones that, are actually going through a particular challenge. So, having said that, what's the number one biggest challenge that you face so far in business? It can be in any area of business, but what's the
Yeah.
number one challenge you face so far in your business, and what's the lessons that you've learned from that?
Um, I'd say, and I'm sure you hear that all the time. It's a constant deal flow, or an inconsistent deal flow, I should say. So, as a business owner, it's always up and down, right? So there's no consistency. So there's no paycheck at the end of the month, right? The What I call the false security of a paycheck. Um, so went self-employed because I went through 7 redundancies, right? So every time I had a redundancy, I lost 100% of my income.
Yeah.
So being able to split my income across several clients and working for myself was kind of like my way of buffering and having a more secure job. However, every income varies per month. So, and I think that's something you have to learn, right? So you have good months, so put some away for worse months, right? And then you have some months, I say they're almost dead, right? Because people are on holidays, people don't want to talk to you or whatever the case might be, and just have that buffer, and focus on marketing and business development work during those months.
Mm.
Whilst when you have a good month, just focus on the delivery, especially if you're sole person like myself.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's really important. Oh, are
Yeah.
there any things that you've done or are working on to help you to try to balance that out? Because you're right, there's always ups and downs of businesses. We're always looking to try to stabilize that. So, is there anything in particular that you are working or have found that has helped stabilize that more than others?
So as a coach, I work a lot with associate partners, which
Okay.
gives me a certain guaranteed income from them. But again, guaranteed. So it's not guaranteed, but you have a good idea of what comes down each month, and that's an advantage. But also you then make yourself reliable on others again, right? So having your own clients and being able to lock them into 6 or 12 months deals, I think that's a better approach, and that's what I'm trying to do more of.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree with you. Well, one of the things that I always love to talk about as well is the mindset around business,
Yeah,
because it is a huge, huge difference between working for someone and actually working for yourself. And you've touched on
Yeah.
a couple of those things already, but what's the biggest mindset thing that you've been able to uh, realize has helped you be a solopreneur and build the business that you've built?
Ooh, trying to think where we start. I think, to be honest, for me, what I started really enjoying is the whole operational and finance side of things of the business, which most people hate, right? But I can be very good in, planning and forecasting and these kind of things. So I enjoy that. But for a lot of people, that's like don't want to have anything to do with that, right? Most people hate sales, right? The whole lead gen, outreach, which again for me is more natural because that's my background. Um, so once of a sudden, when you get self-employed and work for yourself, you're responsible for everything, right? So you're the salesperson, the front runner, you're the planner and strategic CFO, and you're also the deliverer, right? So you're doing everything. So until you start hopefully scaling the business, and then it's a different ball game, right? So you can
Yeah.
start hiring someone for marketing, for instance, or someone helping you with lead gen, or someone just helping you with presentation decks, right? But essentially, you're the sole seller and the sole deliverable of your business, and that can cause bottlenecks, which means a lot of long hours, right? Because we if you don't get work done during the week and you need to finish it, it's weekends, right?
Yeah.
There's no
Yeah,
downtime.
absolutely. Yeah, and it's just normal. I think everyone that is a solopreneur or owner of a small business, even not that they have to be a
Yeah,
solopreneur, but it's I think we all really understand that. But for most of us, we couldn't imagine doing anything else. It's like going into an a job would be soul destroying.
yeah, exactly. You know,
Yeah.
once I always say I never go back. Once I never know, but it's unlikely, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, very unlikely. You have to be very unique set of circumstances for that to happen.
Exactly.
So, but well, over the next say 2 to 3 years of the business, what are your
Yeah.
goals? What would you like to achieve?
Oh, good question. So I think it's a moment, I want to say, at time of recording, things are a bit slower, just given, the current UK politics. So decision making is a bit slow with companies. So what I like to achieve is growing the business, if I say by probably another 100%. And I mean, probably everyone's going to say that, right? Growing the revenue and working less in the business. Um, so focusing on the things I really enjoy, and there's probably going to be another, say, ever so slight pivot coming up next year, which I'm planning to, with a slightly different focus, and I think with the right economic, tailwind, hopefully, we can nicely grow the business next year to a place where I say I'm more happy with than currently.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, is we talked about those kind of tailwinds and ups and
Yeah,
downs around things. Um, if we go back to that mindset question, what are some
yeah,
things that you've done to be able to help yourself through those down
yeah,
times? And also the up times, because the up times can feel quite invigorating. It's very exciting. But as a business owner, we have to be aware that, the quote unquote good times, it can easily turn around and we're back in that valley again. So when
yes,
you're in that valley, what are some things that help you to stay focused on the growth of the business,
yeah.
staying, I'll say positive, in that sort of sense in the business.
I mean, you have to believe that things will always work out, right? That there will be another
Mm,
client around the corner, and there will be. It has always worked out, right? So
yeah,
every business owner will tell you that. So so believe, trust, and put in the hard work, right? So if you have to do the cold calls, depending on which business you're in, or if you have to do the outreach, do it, right? And ideally don't do it when the downturn hits, do it before, right? So the
yeah,
downturn never hits. So if you consistently work on the business and in terms of business development, you'll be fine, right? Just trust the process and it's going to work out. So
yeah,
um the challenge you always have, I think, is from a mindset perspective. You do think, it's the external circumstances. So don't blame the government, don't blame the current economic situation. I mean, I think at the moment everyone is aware that it plays a big part, but a big part is also, how you show up on a day-to-day basis, right? How you
Yeah.
kick yourself in the butt and, getting the work done that needs to be done.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, for people that are looking to learn a little bit more about you and how they can get in touch, what's the best way for them to do that?
Best way is LinkedIn, as always. So if you just look me up on LinkedIn, there are not many Volker Ballueders out there. Of course, I have a website you can visit. I'm a regular speaker at events. I'm out there regularly, so you'll find me. Just Google me. Again, I think I'm the only Volker Ballueder out there. So I've done some great podcasts, including your own. So yeah, so lots of ways of finding out who I am and what I do. And yeah,
Amazing, amazing. Well, I definitely recommend everyone checking out Volker,
thank you.
going to his LinkedIn and anywhere else that you can find him if you feel like he can help you in any way. So, Volker, thank you so much for being on the show and taking the time out to be here and just share your wisdom, experience, lessons that you learned in your business. So, thank you very much for that. And as a reminder to everyone listening, the show is sponsored by the LinkedIn Reverse Podcast Method, the new way established businesses are creating a reliable acquisition channel of conversations with their ideal prospects that doesn't rely on any of the old traditional ineffective marketing methods that everybody hates. So to find out more, direct message me on LinkedIn, have a chat. The link to that will be in the show notes below. And until next episode, stay inspired.